Welcome to Called to Homeschool with your host, Meg Thomas. I am a mother of 7 with 5 homeschool graduates. Each week, we'll talk about real-life homeschool, mindset shifts, and practical tools you can use in your home. Because homeschooling isn't just about school, it's about restoring the family. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Called to Homeschool. Love being here with you and sharing all the stuff I have to share. So, friends, I'm answering another question today, and this one comes from Caitlin from New York, and I think a lot of you are going to really resonate with this question. She says, I'm trying so hard not to yell. And I know it all begins with me regulating my emotions first, but it is hard. I have 2 boys, 3 and almost 2, and they are rambunctious, loud, and energetic. My biggest struggle is my oldest. He does not listen. He will look you dead in the eyes and do exactly what you're telling him not to do. I don't want to do this anymore. I know it's very on par with his age, but my husband and I are struggling to keep our cool at times, especially when it's putting his little brother in a position where he could get hurt. Too rough of play. It makes me worried for our future of homeschooling. I don't want to start in the negative as we're starting homeschool with our oldest next year. Okay, this is great. I'm so excited to dive into this question. And as I was reviewing this and kind of thinking of how I wanted to approach it, I wanted to talk first about identifying behavior and rough play. I had to learn a lot about how boys play as I grew up with all girls, and then I had 5 sons. And it was very different than what I was used to and how I played as a kid. And so when we look at behaviors, we can lump them into 3 categories. There is appropriate behavior, and this is the kind of behavior you want to see from your kids. This is the behavior that you're hoping that they do and that they are just being awesome with it, right? Of this really appropriate behavior. Next is annoying. This is a lot of times what we see that we do not like. It's not doing any harm, nothing's really going wrong, but it bugs us. And this is a lot of times what parents really are like, I need help getting rid of this behavior because it bugs me so bad. And the last one is anarchy. And anarchy is when it has hit the fan and things are being broken, people are really being hurt, all those types of things. But the rough play a lot of times is just in the annoying category. And there are things you can do with behavior that you find annoying, ignoring. Distract, right? Hey, let's play this other game. Let's do this other great thing. Movement. You said your boys have a lot of energy. Lots of little kids have energy. I found lots of little boys have even more energy, right? So let's go on a walk. Let's go to the park. Let's ride bikes. Let's do something to move our bodies so that we're not doing this. Playing with them, humor, having fun with it. So with annoying behavior, this is from Dr. Glenn Latham, and I love this. And he talks about that 81% of misbehaviors go away in 30 seconds or less when ignored with purpose. 94% go away after 1 minute and 45 seconds. So if your boys are getting attention from you when they're roughhousing and they're playing a little bit too hard, and then that's when they get attention from you, they're going to learn that's when we get attention from mom. But if you ignore it, and even time it, how long it takes, seeing what happens with that. But I want to dive into now rough play a little bit and see why it's actually pretty good for your kids. And so the first one is it builds emotional regulation. Rough play teaches kids how to handle excitement, calm themselves down, stop when it's time to stop, read other people's cues, and they learn where the edge is and how to pull back from it. And that means a lot of times that they actually go too far. And then they learn with their sibling a lot of social cues of like, oh, that's too far. Thank you so much for teaching me that that is too far in rough play, right? So it builds a lot of emotional regulation. It teaches social skills, right? They practice turn taking, fairness, reading body language, respecting boundaries. They learn the difference between playful and mean, fun and too far, right? So tons of great social cues and skills in there. It helps them understand their strength. Little boys especially often have a strong need to push, wrestle, climb, tackle, test their bodies. Rough play lets them explore their physical power in a controlled way instead of suppressing it or using it inappropriately. Next, it builds confidence. Rough play helps kids feel capable, brave, strong, connected. It often can include laughter, bonding, physical connection, which builds emotional security. And the last one is it releases energy. Some kids, especially boys, need big body movements to regulate themselves. When they don't get it, it can come out as restlessness, defiance, aggression, meltdowns. rough play can actually prevent those things. So if the rough play, nobody's actually getting hurt. And I thought it was interesting you used the word could. They could get hurt. There's a lot of things that could happen. I could get in a car crash going to the store. I could drop dead in the shower, right? Like there's so many things that could happen. So living in a world of could is going to be really, really rough, especially if you have two little boys that are that close in age who want to wrestle and want to play. So you want to be careful that this is not going too far. People aren't actually getting hurt. And sometimes when somebody does get hurt, that's when they can start to learn like, oh, that's gone too far. But when moms come in and that kid gets in trouble, now I've just learned I just need to not do it in front of mom, or I need to do it meaner so brother doesn't yell and freak out or whatnot. So being really careful with that. And so the kind of the way you can tell, and everybody's going to have a different line of between annoying and anarchy, but the anarchy is when things have gone so far and somebody's actually getting hurt, not just whining. Whining is once again in the annoying category, and that's just something to teach a child. If something is getting destroyed, we have full-blown started to choke somebody out, really hurting somebody, things are breaking, that is anarchy, and we do want to stop that behavior. So with this, if you are trying to teach them appropriate behavior with roughhousing, and I hope you're letting them roughhouse a little bit, but letting them roughhouse and then teaching them when it's gone too far. So utilizing happy habits, and that's a free download on my website, coachmegthomas.com, but teaching them about that, of what is the consequence if we do hit, right? So maybe the fighting is turning into yelling, not just yelling, but biting, scratching, or something like that. Because if there is no consequence other than mom getting mad, then there's really no incentive to stop. So if the 2-year-old is hurt, then you just need to have, if the 2-year-old is the one who hurt, happy habits, you want to start about the age of 3. Right? They can understand some of these things. The 2-year-old can't quite understand yet, but will be as they are getting older. So the 3-year-old, you're just going to have it as a happy habit. You bite your brother, this is the consequence that happens, right? You get removed, you can't play from it, and I don't need to give a lecture, I don't need to get mad, I don't need to yell or whatever, because I already know what I'm going to do ahead of time. With the 2-year-old, you just need consistent corrective action. We don't hurt brother, and we move them, right? And you take the fun away or take them away from the fun, and they learn pretty quick, oh, this behavior is not okay. Friend, this is just parenting. You don't need to have big emotions about this. They're not hoodlums. They're not terrible kids. They're just learning how, what works, what's too far, what's not, all of these things. This is just them learning. So now I want to dive into the part of your question where you talked about your 3-year-old not listening and that it's not working. And it's so interesting, you're almost setting him up to fail. Right? He has something, so maybe he has a marker and you're like, don't hit the table with that. You're almost encouraging him and making it a game because then he's going to get in trouble and it's going to be a reaction and it's just like, oh, this is a fun game, right? So instead of don't do this thing and I'm seeing it and I'm watching you, take the thing away, right? Be the adult. They have a little marker and you're like, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm trying to help you to have good behavior. Instead, take the marker away. Okay, we don't play with that. And then let's go play this other thing, right? So we're not going to get attention. We're not going to have this huge meltdown of oh, he's not listening to me. He's 3 and he's playing and he knows he gets your attention when he has behavior that what you don't like, right? So being too rough with his brother, you come in, he gets attention. Telling him to do something and he gets your attention again. But instead, you just take that right away. You don't need to dive into this and have it be this big emotional thing. Also with listening, I see parents try to treat their kids like little soldiers or employees and wanting to just tell them to do something or not do something. And then they say, yes, sir, and they go and do it. It does not work. A lot of times you just have to help them go and do the thing. Right now, we're going to go brush our teeth. Right now, we're going to go get our shoes on to go. Right now, we're going to go do this. And I'm actually taking them with me instead of, hey, go get me your shoes and I'll put them on, right? But instead, I'm actually going to take you and we're going to do this thing together. Because they don't have the skill yet of just being told what to do and being able to go do it. They're going to get distracted. It's not very fun and they're really motivated by fun, right? You won't have to do this forever, but while they are young and at this age, you do need to really help them. So now I want to address the yelling. So mom and dad's yelling. So you are expecting your child to be in control of their emotions, right? And not hit or just listen and do this stuff. And yet you are not able to control yours. And that is not fair to your child. If you want your children to listen and to respect you, yelling has to end. You are not going to, they may respect you in a fearful way, but not actually respect you and want to listen to you if there is yelling. So there has to be a happy habits for a consequence of your choice, because right now there is no consequence to your choice if you yell at your kids. And like maybe they are a little bit sad, but little kids are very forgiving and they'll just come right back to you. Maybe the consequences, you feel bad, but then you get over it, right? But there are really no consequences for your choices. But during the teenage years, this is when you're really going to see the consequences to the choices of yelling. Because when you get a rebel, they're going to say, you can't do this to me anymore, and I am out of here. And then that's when people come to me like, I don't know what I did. Why is my kid not want nothing to do with me? And find out they've been yelling at them for years, right? So you will have very negative consequences in their teen years, and that's why we want to nip this in the bud now. So putting yelling in your happy habits needs to be every parent's first thing that they do of really letting this go. So a really great consequence for a parent if they do yell is something, especially at this age, is playing with your kids for so long. So whatever game they want. So if mom makes a mistake and I yell, I have to play whatever game you want for 10 minutes, or we go on this walk, or something that you're like, that I know I could do, because there has to be a consequence to our choice, or we will continue to make the same mistake over and over again. In my happy habits, I wanted to be better about my boys' chores and my own attitude about it. So I'm not a yeller anymore. I've let that go, but I notice I can still be really negative and get really critical. And so I put it in a happy habit of like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. And I feel bad. They hate it. It makes them do worse work on their chores, right? And then want to avoid me, all those things. And so I put in my happy habits that if I am negative about my boys' chores, then I have to do their chores the next day. Guess who hasn't been critical since? This gal, right? That doesn't mean that I don't teach them or that I'm not helping them as needed, but my snide comments have completely stopped. If you want your children to improve their behavior, then you need to improve yours first. Stop giving into the negativity. You have to completely stop that. And so I'm not asking you to put more energy into your kids. I'm actually just having you transfer the energy you were putting into the negativity into the positivity and actually creating success versus putting out fires. So you want to stop giving into the negativity, play with them a lot, and praise their good behavior. We were just talking about this in one of my group calls about the importance of play and praise. That is the sweet sauce. Like, you're not yelling at your kids and you play and praise with them, they are going to just be amazing. They're still going to be human and they're going to make mistakes. And that's why we have happy habits, because there are consequences to our choices. But I don't have to have this negative relationship with my kids, because happy habits already has it done. It's already established what the consequences to choices are, right? So that I can just play and praise my kids and remember all the amazing things they do. So if they do bite or hit or break something on purpose, we already know the consequence. I don't need to do a lecture. I don't need to dive in and just like, you guys, we talked about this, right? But it's like, oh, darn it. Okay, looks like you bit your brother. So we don't get to play with this toy now, or now we don't have a screen. For my kids, it's simple as that's not their happy habits, but there's like getting their chores done on time or getting their schoolwork done or whatever it is. And if it's not done, we're not going to a friend's house. We don't have to have a big drama about it. We don't have to have a big talk or a lecture, right? Like, you get it done, great. You get this thing. You don't do it, unfortunately, you don't get this thing. Super duper simple. Homeschooling is just really parenting 2.0. And a big reason I see people quitting is because they just can't figure out this family piece of being with their kids all day, every day. Your kids are young, so this is perfect time to really get your behavior and theirs working close together. Because if you want homeschool to be fun, this is the part that's got to be taken care of. And so anybody out there who's struggling with any behavior with their kids, friends, go over to coachmegthomas.com and download Happy Habits, because it is a game changer. And once you get that going, so you are not as reactive anymore, whether that's yelling, being critical, mean, whatever it is that you're doing, and you're getting that under control, your kids are also way more inclined to listen to you and see like, oh, mom's working on something too. Dad's working on something too. It's okay that I'm working on something. There's nothing wrong with me. Just us as humans, we're always trying to be a little bit better. And as you are this calm parent, this safe parent that also holds boundaries, they respect you and they're way more teachable. They're really a lot more willing to listen to you and obey the things that you ask them to do, all of those amazing things. And it is awesome. So anybody who needs that, head on over to my website, coachmegthomas.com, download Happy Habits, and I hope you have an amazing week. And I will talk to you next time. Thanks so much for listening to Call to Homeschool. If today's episode was helpful, the best way you can support the show is by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps more homeschool moms find this work, and I appreciate it so much.